Back, and for this one, I want to make a quick Super Bowl guide before, a few hours before the Super Bowl starts. Get my, my thoughts, my concerns about both teams. What am I expecting for? I do at the end have a score prediction and my MVPs for either team, whoever wins. So getting started. Oh, went a little too fast. Some about the injury report for the Chiefs. I didn't name all the injured players on both teams. I just kind of try to pick the ones that are the most impactful. Granted, none of these aren't made to the Super Bowl for a reason, so obviously it's not as impactful as maybe for other teams. The two I put down for McCole Hartman definitely is the number one for that. Just the one that's been, the receiver that's been around Mahomes the most out of this receiving group, excluding Kelsey. It's tough to lose that guy. Definitely, definitely is the speed receiver for them. It's tough losing him, especially for the Super Bowl. He's on injury reserve with a pelvis injury. Again, you kind of are iffy at the receiver spot. Not horrible, but people just question the lack of talent at that. There's no elite receiver on that group. It's a bunch of average, above average at best. Again, excluding Kelsey on that roster, so it definitely is tough to lose any receiver, no doubt, and that's why I have Cornell Powell. Again, not a huge contributor, but just losing players at that position is no doubt a tough going into the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. And for Eagles, I just have one, Derek Burnett. I know he's been out for a while, and again, they made it to the Super Bowl. We're still led the league in sacks with the countless other players they have, but just like with the Chiefs, it's just tough that to lose a guy like that definitely would have helped on a defensive line. So going to my questions/concerns. The first one, most of them are me at the Chiefs. Some of them are me for both teams, of course. But for this one, can the Chiefs O line hold up against the Eagles pass rush? They were graded. Now the Chiefs offensive line was graded number one this year in pass protection, but they're facing a great defense, especially on the line, and it's gonna be a big test for them. I just wrote down for notable Eagles defensemen, especially on the line: Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham, Lavelle Joseph, Robert Quinn, Demonica Sue, Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick, and so on and so forth. Even the corners and all of them, but just safeties, linebackers, all of them. I know that one linebacker that I have on here was Reddick. But for the most part, the biggest challenge is going to be the defensive line. It is going to be key. No doubt. They have to protect Mahomes, especially with his ankle still. Now, he has had time, 2 weeks off to rest and get prepared for that. So he's definitely going to be better off in this one than he was in the Bengals game, where you saw a couple times where it kind of bothered him. He tweaked it, trying to run out of the pocket. But so you still have to watch out for this group. If they can't protect Mahomes, it's gonna be like the Buccaneers Super Bowl all over again, where you're just gonna get crushed. And that one they lost 31-9, mainly because they couldn't protect Mahomes. Especially they lost their tackles in that playoff run, and Mahomes couldn't do anything. He constantly kept getting under duress. Couldn't get passes to the receivers, and they basically shut down Mahomes for that whole game. Again, they got blown out. Defense can only do so much when offense isn't putting any points on the board or staying on the field long. So that's going to be a key factor, no doubt, is the lines for both of them, and just kind of switching it to the Eagles. Now they face on defensive line wise, face a lot less of a challenge than for the Chiefs facing the Eagles defensive line. They do have to face Chris Jones, who is one of the best interior defensive linemen in the league, no doubt. 16 sacks this year. Has 2 sacks from in the AFC Championship game against the Bengals. So definitely, Jason Kelsey and them really have to keep Chris Jones in check to help Mahomes have a clean pocket, and especially help that great offensive running attack. So the second one too, again, going on the Chiefs, will the wide receivers and running backs step up for Mahomes? As I was talking about in the injury report for the Chiefs, outside of Kelsey, people really question the lack of talent at that receiver position. This is the first time in Mahomes' career he does not have a Tyreek Hill, an elite receiver at that position. Once again, I know he still has Travis Kelce, but mostly just solely looking at the wide receiver position. Ooh, I don't know why I went up. Sorry, my bad. The list I have: Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Kadarius Toney, Jerick Mixon. I know he's a running back, but he's definitely big on the receiving game. Sky Moore, don't use too much. Justin Watson, don't use too much. And then for running backs, you have Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I doubt you're going to see Clyde's in this game. You might see him in a few snaps, but it's definitely going to be Pacheco and McKinnon at the running position. So it's going to be tough. Again, you only have one elite player at the tight end. The Eagles are going to try and do the best they can to really shut down Travis Kelce and make it harder for Mahomes to spread the ball around. They want to make the other receivers beat them, earn those catches, earn those yards. Don't let Travis Kelce do that. Juju Smith-Schuster, in my mind, is a number one receiver. I don't know. That's what I like to assume everyone else would like to think, that he is the number one receiver on this team. He's going to have to step up. He's going to have a big game, no doubt. Scantling, we saw in the AFC Championship game, he had over 100 yards receiving, had a touchdown. Definitely stepped up. Could he do it in this game? It's gonna be tough to ask. I mean, he's not, like I said, an elite receiver. He is an above average receiver. So no doubt, it's really gonna make these guys kind of push themselves to see if they can get open for Mahomes. Kadarius Toney, I don't care for it too much. I get he has a speed. He is electric when he has the ball in his hands. But the guy's too injury prone. I did not like the trade when they got him at the deadline. I thought they gave way too much for him for, again, an injury prone receiver who's shown that even with his time in his short time with Kansas City, and is going to keep continuing as how long he is with the Chiefs and in his career. It's going to be a big factor. I said Jerick McKinnon, again, really stepped up towards the end of the season with the pass catching ability for the Chiefs. Definitely brought a new element to that. Sky Moore and Justin Watson, they don't use too much on the team. I know Sky Moore had his biggest play of his rookie year, having the big punt return to set up Mahomes for his run to eventually got him to get a game-winning field goal to go to the Super Bowl. But other than that, he's not used too much in the passing game. You don't see him a lot. You're going to see, of course, Juju, Scantling, Kadarius Toney as the main wide receivers. Justin Watson, again, too, only came in because of injury. And for running back position, no doubt, Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon have really stepped up for this team. You look at Pacheco being a 7th round pick for this team, no doubt a huge steal in the draft for the Chiefs. If I pull up the stats right here, in his rookie year, he had 170 carries for 830 yards, 5 touchdowns. Really, really good for a 7th round pick. Definitely has taken the place of Clyde's, who is starting to look more and more at this point now as a bust. Won't be surprised in the offseason if they do move on from him. It was a waste of a pick. I get that was your main position you had to fill at that time, but has not panned out. Again, hasn't lived up to it, and also constantly injured. So Pacheco really has stepped up with that. McKinnon has definitely stepped up on that running back position too. Like I said earlier, when naming the receivers, especially in the passing game, for him, he had 56 catches for 512 yards, 9 touchdowns. That's unbelievable for a running back. Unbelievable, especially on that team. Definitely shows the versatility he has. No doubt the passing down back on that team. And that's a big thing the Eagles are definitely gonna have to worry about. Pacheco does have that ability, but no doubt McKinnon is the much superior pass catcher for that position. So definitely for the Chiefs, if they want to win, they're gonna have to find some packages, some schemes to really get McKinnon involved, get him quick passes to the side, or have him run a 3-yard out a 3-yard route to get those short yardage, really try and have the Chiefs or the Eagles defense really kind of stack up on the line, and then you can have a chance to take the shot over the top to open up that game. And for both of them, laid out the stats for offensively, and I have it later too for the defense. For the Chiefs, for their passing attack, they average 297 a game, first in the NFL. Rushing 115, 20th in the NFL. Points per game, 29 points, first in the NFL. Total yards, 424, first. So it just really shows how great this Chiefs offense is. Even though they lost Tyreek Hill, they are at the top of the league in almost every category. The rushing attack, again, just like a team like Buffalo, has a great passing attack but lacks the rushing ability. They don't use that too much, even though they've shown when they have to they are effective with it. But again, they do lack it on that side of the ball on the lower end of the NFL for that category. And also for third down, they are 48.7, which is second in the NFL. And for the Eagles, same thing for this. Passing, 241, ninth in the NFL. Rushing, 147, fifth in the NFL. Points per game, 28 points, third in the NFL. And total yards, 404, third in the NFL. And once again, for third down, 45.9, which is fourth. So again, they really stack up. Statistically for both offenses, though Eagles are more balanced on the passing and rushing, more close to each other in that, as opposed to the Chiefs, where they're polar opposites. Number one in passing, and then on the lower end of the rushing attack for the Eagles too, both in the top 10 for that for both of them. So definitely is, I believe, going to give the slight edge to the Eagles because they are more consistent on that side of the ball than the polar opposites with the Chiefs. And this is heading to the other side of the ball. Can these defenses slow down each other? And once again, I'm gonna lay out the stats for both of them. For the Chiefs, for total yards, they give up 351 a game, 17th in the NFL. Pass, 220, 18th in the NFL. Rush, 107, 8th in the NFL. Points per game, 21 points. That's 17th in the NFL. Third down, 38.3, 13th. For the Eagles, I did miss a number on the actual number on here. I apologize for that. It is around that mark for the Chiefs. So no doubt for that. For total yards, they are fourth in the NFL. For pass, 179, or essentially round up 180 yards. First in the NFL. Rush, 121, tied for 16th. Points per game, 20 points, 17th in the NFL. Third down, 38.6, 14th. So a little bit better than the Chiefs. Again, they stack up overall, similar to that. Definitely the biggest one is the pass. They're first in the NFL against the pass, as opposed to the Chiefs that are 18th. So definitely, have that advantage, and then vice versa too. Chiefs only 107. They're 8th in the NFL, as opposed to tied for 16th and for the Eagles. So definitely going to be a very tough thing for each side, definitely for each of them. For third down mark, basically the same. They're right next to each other, 13th and 14th. The defense is basically on a third down stop, 38 to 38. So no doubt, it's definitely going to be a interesting game to watch on the defensive on the defensive side. On paper, they do have better names on the Eagles than the Chiefs. The one that really stands out the most is Chris Jones, Frank Clark, and then for the most part, you have a lot of younger guys, a lot of rookies this year, especially at the corner position. Just trying to rebuild, seeing that most of the money they invested in this team as on the offensive side, specifically with Mahomes, Kelsey. During the free agency, you do have Orlando Brown as a free agent, so money might go to him if they're even able to do that. So most of the money is tied up on that side of the ball. The only big time contract on the defense is Chris Jones, deserving of course for that, but definitely have to really hand those small free agents and the draft picks to really build the defense up, and they definitely have done enough. Of course, they've made it to the Super Bowl, have done enough, of course, to make it this far. And no doubt in my mind, they do have the capability, if they can keep it in the Eagles' offense in check, to slow them down enough for Mahomes to win it. And lastly is just the injuries, what I talked about earlier for both quarterbacks. Mahomes with the ankle. I know he had both these quarterbacks had time to rest in between the championship games and the Super Bowl, but still a factor. I'm less worried about Mahomes with his ankle because even when it was at his worst, he showed you he can still play at a high level. For Hurts, I'm not so sure. Definitely in the 49ers game, he had a hard time throwing deep passes, especially in the, again against the 49ers. Was missing good passes that he normally makes to AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. So that's my worry with that. Again, he has had time off since then, but it's gonna be a big factor if those guys get open. If you want to beat Mahomes and that great offense, you're gonna have to hit on those deep shots. You can't miss. You can't miss on those, and it's gonna be very interesting to see early on. In the beginning, if they do take a couple deep shots downfield, if he's very inaccurate throwing that on those early shots, it's gonna be pretty concerning as an Eagles fan because then it's gonna really set up the pace of what the rest of the game is gonna hold. If he is able to get those deep shots, no doubt, it's gonna be very you'll be very confident with that he's back to his normal self. No doubt, both these quarterbacks were on the MVP list, first and second, even though the voting was very lopsided. Hurts was still in the MVP race, so it just shows you how great of a quarterback he was this year. He only had one loss as a starter. That was against Washington in the middle of the season. The other two the other two losses the Eagles had were for Minshew, but again, just one loss this whole season by Hurts. It shows you that he has the capability of going head to head with anybody. So players that need to step up for both of them, I'm just gonna get out of the way. Quarterbacks are always gonna be number one. What I just talked about for the injury list for the quarterbacks. They're the most important position, no doubt. Both these guys are gonna have to step up to win this game. I'm not gonna really speak too much on both the number ones because it's kind of self-explanatory. Number two is Chris Jones, no doubt, especially on the defensive side on the defensive side. He's going to have to step up. He's going to have to be like he was in the Chiefs game, disrupting the offensive line and the interior and making it a hard time for Burrow to throw, get the pressure on him, get a sack or two, maybe force a turnover. He's going to be key. He's going to be the one that's going to have to set the tone for the defense right there. If he can get there and be like in the Cincinnati game, it's definitely going to give the Chiefs a chance to win this. And what I said for the receiving core, Juju, he's the number one receiver. He's going to have to step up. He's going to have to make plays for Mahomes. It can't just be Kelsey. It's going to take a team effort to go against this defense. I know people question the level of talent that the Eagles defense has faced, but overall they are a good defense, no doubt. So Juju Smith's definitely going to have to help and alleviate the pressure on that side of the ball, open up the space for other players, especially Travis and the other receivers on his team, Scantling, Antoney, or McKinnon, whoever. Number four, not a player, but Andy Reid definitely has to come up with very good calls, good schemes, like you saw the Raiders one, they're spinning around in the huddle, stuff like that. Definitely, I definitely look out for trick plays, especially in the red zone. I do think that they came up with a new trick play to really go against the Eagles defense. And I do believe it's going to be play calling to really go after this, a good secondary, especially Darius Slay, Pro Bowl caliber. And again, the defensive line definitely have to get creative with that. They might, depending on how it goes, if the offensive line is struggling to hold on against that Eagles defensive line, they're gonna have to get creative, quick plays, screen passes, and such. And for the last one, Jerick McKinnon. Yeah, it's kind of like everybody I was saying for. Definitely, I keep repeating, Jerick McKinnon's gonna be huge on this game. If you look back into the last time they did win the Super Bowl, you saw how valuable Damian Williams was against San Francisco in that game. He had 17. Let's see. He had 17 carries for 104 yards, one touchdown, had 4 catches for 29 yards, 1 touchdown in total. He had over 133 yards, 2 total touchdowns. Should have won the Super Bowl, or the MVP in my opinion. Mahomes did win it, but I believe Damian Williams was huge in that game. I believe McKinnon has that capability of being a Damian Williams and stepping up for this team. So skipping Hurts, like I said, we kind of bunched them up for Mahomes and Hurts, self-explanatory. Hassan Reddick, if he can be the Hassan Reddick he was in the 49ers game, it's going to be very tough. He definitely has a lot of help on the defensive line. I know I keep repeating defensive line, and it might be driving people crazy, but it's just I keep emphasizing enough. It is a huge strength for this team. If his teammates can really get those, get the offensive line there, the tackles and the guards one on one, he can come off the edge and apply pressure to Mahomes. Could definitely be the capability like he was. Cause a forced fumble, got the fumble recovery back. He had a couple sacks, I believe, in the championship game. So if he can be that version, no doubt in my mind, it's really going to be a tough game for them. And it might be like what I said earlier, a repeat of the Tampa Bay Super Bowl where they just couldn't protect Mahomes. They have the capability, even though the Chiefs have a better offensive line than they did in that game. They still have the chance to do that. Darius Slay, and it's kind of a counter to Juju Smith. You have to shut down whoever you have assigned to, whether it's Juju, Scantling, Tony, whoever. I like to think Juju is going to be the main guy. He's going to be covering. So no doubt, the counter to what I said about Juju, if you can shut him down on whatever side he is or whoever receiver you're following, and take that side of the football away, that side of the field I should say away, it's going to make it challenging for Mahomes. Then it's going to try and force him to get to Kelsey, and hopefully for them they have a game plan to kind of double team Kelsey at times to really, just take him away, let someone else beat you, let Scantling beat you, let Tony beat you. So definitely if you were able to, in the game plan, I would like to think, shut down Kelsey as your main priority and also shut down Juju. Definitely going to take, a lot of playmakers away from Mahomes and let people like Hassan Reddick and Hassan Reddick and the other players on that defense really get to Mahomes. Number 4, Jason Kelsey. They got counter to Chris Jones. You need to keep Chris Jones in check. He is a disruptor. He will ruin the game. Again, what I keep saying, go back to the Chiefs game, or go back to the Cincy game. He really made it tough for Joe Burrow to to have time in the pocket, to have the ability to read the field. He was a disruptor, and of course the guards too are going to help. But no doubt, I would like to think that he's going to be the main guy on Chris Jones. If he can keep him in check, it's going to be very tough for this Chiefs defense to really stop the Eagles. How great they are, especially with the running ability of all three of their running backs and Hurts combined. It's going to be a long game. It is. And the last one, Devontae Smith, no doubt. Most of the pressure is going to go to A.J. Brown, the number one receiver, no doubt. So Devontae Smith is definitely going to have to step up like he has throughout the season. I won't be shocked if he does have a big game for this team. He's gonna have to. Like I said, the main focus is going to be trying to shift and put pressure on A.J. Brown. You need to really step up and equal his production that he's done throughout the regular season, like they both have. If they can do that, it's gonna be very tough for the defense, for the Chiefs to really double team one of them, because you're gonna have to focus on both receivers. No one's gonna be double teamed. If you're gonna do that, you're gonna leave someone one on one. It's gonna be very difficult to do that. So big key, Devontae Smith at the wide receiver 2 position has to step up. He has to be the big time player in this, probably more so than A.J. Brown, because A.J. Brown, like I said, is just going to get the recognition because he's just the number one receiver. But I do believe Devontae Smith has a bigger, I don't know how to say this, has more pressure on him than, I would say, probably better, more pressure on than A.J. Brown, because whatever he's going to do is going to set up the tone for what A.J. Brown is going to do. It's going to make it easier for him, or if he's going to get shut down, then it's going to put more pressure to the side of A.J. Brown, and then both receivers aren't going to do well. Like I said, with Mahomes, with Juju, and the rest, it's very important for these receivers to set the tone up for the quarterbacks to make it easier for them. So for score predictions, I do think it's going to be a close game. I have the Eagles 34-27. I'm just going to go. The biggest factor too is going to be the defense. Why I keep emphasizing, you probably should be a counter how many times I just say defensive line, defensive line, defensive line. It is key to this. The Eagles have a much better line than the Chiefs. I believe they're going to get more pressure. I believe they're going to get more pressure on the Chiefs' offensive line than the Chiefs are on the Eagles' offensive line. I think overall the Eagles do have a better line than the Chiefs. And also on the defensive line, you really just have Chris Jones. I know you have Frank Clark too on that also paired up with them, but the main focus is Chris Jones. As on the other hand, for the Eagles, there's just too many people. You have Hassan Reddick, who's not even on the line. He's a linebacker, but he's definitely going to line up with them, and you have to worry about the Ross Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis on the run stuffing ability, and Sweat, and so on and so forth. So that's I think is gonna be the key factor. It's gonna be like the Bills, not so much like the blowout, but it's gonna be like the Bills Bengals game in a way. I think that the Eagles are gonna control the line better than the Chiefs, but it's still gonna be a close game. And that's gonna be the small factor why they win. So my MVP predictions for both sides of the ball, I just put 3 for each team. Number 1, Jalen Hurts, no doubt, and self-explanatory for Patrick Mahomes. They're the quarterbacks. Whoever wins, the vast majority of time, it's gonna be the quarterback that gets it. So, no discussion for both of them. So jumping into Hassan Reddick. Again, if he can have that type of game like he did against the 49ers, there's no doubt he can be the MVP of this. He's gonna be the deciding factor, especially on that line to get the pressure, getting the edge and getting to Mahomes, maybe in that process, what I talked about for the injury with the ankle, maybe making him run, a certain way, make him uncomfortable. It could tweak that ankle and make it even harder for him to do that. I doubt it. Again, we're just having the couple weeks off from the championship games till now, but it's still a factor. It could linger still. Who knows? But Hassan Reddick's going to be, I think, the key player on the defensive side of the ball. And number 3, A.J. Brown. I know I kind of emphasized enough on Devontae Smith. It's hypocritical. Because I said I feel like Devontae has more pressure on him than A.J. Brown, but A.J. Brown has shown that big-time capability. He, no doubt the number 1 receiver on this team. For them to go in the offseason and trade for him, it really, it was a steal for the first round, for a first-round pick. And he's shown that very physical receiver, great hands. And no doubt it could be a deciding factor for that on the receiver position. So number 2, Jerick McKinnon, again, what I said for him earlier, he can be like a Damian Williams in that Super Bowl against the 49ers. If he has a game like that, no doubt he should be considered for the Super Bowl MVP. And number 3 is just Travis Kelce, his number 1 go-to target on the offense. He's shown he's had huge games, even for some where there was one, I want to say the Raiders in the regular season where he had, I think he had like 7 catches. It was a weird stat. It was like 7 catches for 25 yards. But he had 4 touchdowns, I think. And it was just the games like that. It's just he is the best tight end in the NFL, no doubt, and one of the best of all time. He's shown capabilities of he can easily go well over 100 yards receiving, a couple multiple touchdowns, no doubt. So if I do have Jerick McKinnon. If he can get that stat like Damian Williams, he should get that because he's going to be more a factor on both rushing for the running attack and passing. But also, too, Travis Kelce has also shown that he can play at an all-time level in any game. So that's going to wrap it up for my guide, my Super Bowl 57 guide. Let me know your thoughts on what you thought about it. If you agree, what would you change on it? Please subscribe if you enjoyed. Everyone, have fun watching the Super Bowl. Hopefully you guys are having a good time, whatever you're doing. Let's enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one.